I'm Harry Smith. Tonight, the fire plague on both coasts. Catalina Island in the Pacific, thousands evacuated. Firefighters bring in the heavy equipment. In Florida, children are forced out of school as flames burn acre after acre. A CBS News exclusive. The White House and Senate leaders close to a deal on immigration. We'll tell you about the secret negotiations. Driving while texting. It's dangerous, and now for the first time, it's illegal in at least one state. And Steve Hartman's Assignment America, the senior in the class of '07.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening. Katie is on assignment. There are some hellish scenes tonight on a heavenly island in the Pacific, Santa Catalina, off the coast of Southern California. Wildfires have forced thousands of people to evacuate the island, described so famously in song as the Island of Romance. Catalina is literally 26 miles across the sea from Long Beach, 21 miles long and 8 miles wide. It has 4,000 year-round residents. We have two reports on this very busy fire season, beginning with Bill Whitaker.
Santa Catalina Island, Southern California's sun-drenched getaway, today remains in the grip of fire and smoke. As orange flames lurch toward the main city Avalon overnight, people were desperate to get away from this place.
When I saw the flames on the hills, I told my husband, you know what, I'm taking off.
Authorities imposed a mandatory evacuation on much of Avalon. One house and several other structures have burned. More than 3,000 residents and tourists poured off these ferries brought in to evacuate them to the mainland. Jane Lopez has lived on Catalina 15 years.
When we were leaving, the whole top area of the island was in big flames.
Firefighters don't know how this blaze began, but it's consumed more than 4,000 bone-dry acres. Like all of Southern California, Catalina is a tinderbox, suffering the driest year on record, only 2 inches of rain since January. Making this even worse, Catalina sits 26 miles off the Southern California coast. Only a handful of firefighters live on the island, so fighting this wildfire has been a logistical nightmare. The same boats that brought families off Catalina transported mainland firefighters to the inferno. Marines from nearby Camp Pendleton provided giant hovercraft to ferry in trucks and equipment. In Griffith Park, the site of the region's other big wildfire this week, Governor Schwarzenegger said resources are stretched thin.
My concern has always been, since the Iraqi war began, that we are taking equipment to Iraq, and it doesn't come back.
Firefighters have pushed flames away from Avalon, making it safe enough for residents to begin to return. But with conditions so dry, many fear they may be fleeing again before this fire season is over. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Catalina.
I'm Kelly Kobiella in Lake City, Florida, where the smoke is so thick and the wildfire closing in so fast that parents were told to get their children from the schools. Are you concerned?
Now I am. Because it's really getting smoky more than it has been in the last couple of hours. In
just 24 hours, the fire in Northeast Florida and Georgia grew by more than 56,000 acres, the Florida portion tripling in size overnight.
Potential's there, folks. It will romp and stomp.
181,000 acres burning in total, frustrating even the most experienced firefighters, jumping fire lines 4 miles wide.
How long have they been on shift right now?
Relief crews are being brought in from other parts of the state, but with 200 plus fires burning, resources are stretched thin.
You come home, you get some rest and that kind of thing, check in with wife and kids or whatever, and then you're back out again. Here we go again.
Amazingly, the fire has not destroyed a single home, but another 600 people were evacuated overnight just in case.
Do you think you're going to lose the house?
Doesn't look very good. Doesn't look very good.
Nearly a week after this fire started, firefighters are not even close to having it controlled, and they say they can't stop it on their own. They need less wind and more rain. Kelly Kobiella, CBS News, Lake City, Florida.
Now to the debate over illegal immigration and what to do about it. It looks tonight like Congress and the White House are very close to an agreement. They've been holding secret negotiations. And our Capitol Hill correspondent Cheryl Atkinson has this exclusive report.
With protesters taking to the streets and Americans looking to Washington for a solution, never before has immigration reform been tackled this way. Politicians at opposite ends of the debate collaborating in secret to devise a new comprehensive plan. The group, including Senators Ted Kennedy and Lindsey Graham, has met for hours several times a week since March. Homeland Security Chief Michael Chertoff is point man for the White House.
How unusual is it for Democrats, Republicans, and White House cabinet officials to be writing the bill together at the start?
I've never done this before. I've been in the Congress now for over 12 years.
CBS News has been told the plan that could be announced next week attempts to please hardliners by spending billions to secure the border first. But all 12 million plus illegal immigrants could stay. They'd have to register and pay fines for having entered illegally. To become citizens, they'd go to the end of the line behind those who've already applied. Under a new merit plan, points would be given for work skills and language. The more points, the faster they can become citizens. And everyone, even U.S. citizens, would have to prove who they are when applying for a job. Bottom line, an illegal immigrant here today could remain in the U.S., but would have to wait at least 13 years to become a citizen. Negotiators agree some critics who call for mass jailings or deportations of illegals will call this compromise amnesty and oppose it. But with the House indicating it'll follow the Senate's lead, it's still the last best hope for immigration reform anytime soon.
If we fail, if we cannot get this bill done, then this is it for years to come.
That's because once this window of opportunity closes, all sides agree it'll be too close to the presidential elections to tackle a subject that's such a lightning rod. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Now to a terror threat against U.S. military bases in Germany. Intelligence officials have been investigating it for several weeks. And today they told CBS News that the threat is real, but not specific about exactly what might be attacked or when. Meanwhile, in this country, the 6 Muslim men accused of plotting to attack soldiers at Fort Dix were in federal court in New Jersey today. All 6 were ordered held without bail. Terrorism in Iraq today. Suicide bombers struck 2 police checkpoints in Baghdad. At least 23 people were killed. Their attacks came just hours after a series of U.S. raids on car bombing networks around the capital. Also today, an urgent request from one of the top U.S. commanders in Iraq. He needs more soldiers. David Martin tonight from the Pentagon.
With 80% of the surge now complete, a senior American commander says he still does not have enough troops for a key and increasingly violent province just outside Baghdad.
But I'm going to need additional forces in Diyala province to get that situation to a more acceptable level, and so the Iraqi security forces will be able in the future to handle that.
Pentagon officials say General Mixon will get more troops when the surge reaches full strength later this month. But every soldier he gets is one less for Baghdad, the focal point of the attempt to clamp down on violence.
The success or failure of the surge depends upon the ability of the Iraqis to fight and govern for themselves. On that, General Mixon has another bleak assessment.
After nearly 8 months on the ground, I am concerned about the overall progress of our Iraqi security forces and the governmental processes.
If that's still true in September, when General Petraeus, the overall commander in Iraq, has promised to report to Congress on whether the surge is working, political support for the war could collapse entirely. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Here at home, the battle against distracted driving. According to the AAA, your odds of being involved in a crash nearly double if you look away from the road for more than 2 seconds. That is exactly what you do when you text while driving. Today, Washington became the first state in the nation to ban it. Here's Sandra Hughes.
Self-employed publicist Lee Keller spends hours a day on Seattle's roads, but she makes good use of her time.
I always keep it up here, so obviously I can see the road.
Text messaging with her BlackBerry to stay connected.
I mean, this is invaluable. This allows me to have 8 or 10 clients and a busy little business and a very busy 5-year-old and a family that's, constantly needing me.
Keller is not alone. According to a recent insurance company survey, 1 in 5 people between 18 and 60 drive while text messaging. For young people, the numbers go even higher, to 1 in 3. Last year, a man who was driving and reading his BlackBerry set off a 5-car pileup on a Seattle interstate. Legislators in Washington decided it was time to put the brakes on driving while texting.
The fact is, it is a very, very dangerous activity. And not only do people jeopardize their own lives, but they're jeopardizing the lives of everybody else on the roads.
Washington state is the first to make texting while driving illegal, but 5 more states have similar legislation being considered. In California, like a handful of other states, it will soon be illegal to drive while talking on a handheld phone. But those laws don't mention texting.
AAA has done studies that show that anything that takes your eyes off the road for more than 2 seconds doubles the risk of a crash.
Today, Washington state makes both handheld cell phones and texting illegal. So people like Lee Keller are going to have to get creative.
I'm going to need to pull over to the side of the road and answer email.
Or face a fine as high as $250. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And there's much more CBS News ahead. Coming up next, graduation day at Virginia Tech. There was a collision today in the skies near Cincinnati. 2 small planes hit, raining debris over suburban Sharonville. The FAA says the 2 pilots were killed. It is not clear yet what went wrong. The pilots were not required to file flight plans and apparently were not in contact with air traffic controllers. Now to the Virginia Tech story and a bittersweet commencement tonight, held in the same Coliseum where last month the community mourned 32 students and faculty slaughtered by student Sung Hee Jo. Sharon Alfonsi is there.
Graduation day at Virginia Tech. Hello. Parents take pictures and fuss with tassels. They are the lucky ones. Others will never have a graduation picture of their child. 27 students were killed in the attack here less than a month ago.
Some are here in spirit.
This afternoon, 9 graduate students were awarded their diplomas posthumously.
Julia Kathleen Pride.
Each student remembered not only for the work they did, but for what they aspired to do.
Julia planned on teaching in college, doing research, and working to create pure water and sustainable agriculture in the Andes. Jeremy Michael Herbstreit. His career goal was to get into environmental work and was currently involved in research on the West Nile virus.
Just as telling as the faces of the parents who lined up to accept their children's degrees.
Daniel Patrick O'Neill.
The fact that some families could not bear to set foot on campus. Instead, professors accepted their diplomas. It was a day of contrasts. Somber at one moment, celebratory the next. Paige Burrell managed to smile as she walked from the stage. But as she walked through campus, it was tougher. Her mom, Lisa.
You feel like a split personality because half your heart is so excited and so full of joy. And half your heart is with the families of kids that didn't make it. And you just carry that with you all the time.
Later today, the school plans to give class rings and diplomas to the rest of the victims' relatives. Hard-earned degrees for students that are even harder for parents to accept. Sharon Alfonsi, CBS News, Blacksburg, Virginia.
And you can find out more about graduation day at Virginia Tech on our website at cbsnews.com. Coming up next, in the Middle East, this mouse has a message for kids. And cute, it's not. A Palestinian television show that's accused of teaching terrorism to children was back on the air today. The Palestinian government had promised to take it off pending a review, but Hamas, which runs the TV station, had a different idea. As Richard Roth reports, the star of the show looks just like Mickey Mouse, but he sure doesn't act like him.
For half an hour on Friday afternoons, the character's familiar and comforting, the context is anything but. From a studio in Gaza on a TV station run by the militants of Hamas, this weekly children's program stars a Mickey Mouse look-alike, with a young co-host named Sarah telling Palestinian children to drink their milk, pray 5 times a day, and resist what they call the oppressive Zionist occupation. The mouse preaches contempt for Israel and America. He adds, we'll liberate Iraq and the Muslim countries invaded by murderers. We are tomorrow's pioneers, says Sarah. We don't surrender. And miming a tune sung by a caller on the phone, the mouse fires an imaginary gun. Israel's called the program an outrage. An Israeli group that monitors Palestinian media says it's also a tragedy.
The children, through this lovable image, are receiving poisonous messages, and they don't even realize they're being poisoned.
Not just by TV. A colorful Hamas website tells a fable about a girl who guides Israeli soldiers over a roadside bomb to their death. A martyr's fairy tale. Some say the problem isn't just what's put on TV or the internet, it's real life.
A child in Gaza does not need a cartoon in order to hate the occupation, to hate Israel. He opens his eyes in the morning and he sees reality around him.
Despite a rival faction's effort to censor the show, a Hamas official insisted it's our right to tell our children what we want. And no surprise we try to reach them with an image that's familiar. Richard Roth, CBS News, London.
Coming up next, Assignment America, the class of '07. We know a few college graduates who went to school on the 5- or 6-year plan. They have nothing on a great-grandmother from Kansas who is wrapping up her studies after 7 decades. Steve Hartman found her on Assignment America.
It takes a smart kid to make it at Fort Hays State University in Hays, Kansas. But all you need is a nursery school education to tell which one of these kids is not like the others. Her name is Nola Osh, and she's 95.
I came up here as a senior.
I know you did.
A college senior.
Nola came to Hays last fall for the final leg of what has been the longest college career in history.
Hi.
To see exactly how long, you have to go to the basement of the admin building, where you'll find this little 3x5 card that shows Nola Osh, then Nola Hill, started a correspondence course on April 19th, 1930.
There's a great satisfaction in completing what you started.
Nola was born in 1911 in Jetmore, Kansas. She always loved learning, but after that first class, she got a little sidetracked.
I lived on the farm, and mother, grandmother, great-grandmother. I had plenty to do, but the yearning didn't go away.
So, after her husband died in 1972, she started taking correspondence courses again, slowly plugging away at her bachelor's.
Morning, girl. Morning. Real proud of this apartment.
Then, last fall, she moved into a dorm to focus on finishing her general studies degree.
Good luck.
Outside of class, she's made lots of friends.
See you soon. I feel like just another one of them.
This is her favorite, perhaps because this is also her granddaughter. Alexandra and Nola were even in a class together.
I skipped class, which I felt terrible about, you know, my grandmother being in class.
I didn't know she was skipping. I thought she had a legitimate skip.
They say it's been a truly wonderful year, which will draw to a close tomorrow when Nola and Alexandra graduate together.
It is with great pride that I walk across that floor Saturday.
The Guinness Record Book will now list Nola as the oldest person to ever finish college, if you can call it finish.
The first class I'm going to take this fall.
Wait, you're going to go back to school this fall?
Sure.
She says a master's is not out of the question. In fact, she'd like to accumulate as many degrees as possible.
And I'm going to use them, too, when I get old.
And if her spunk is any indication, that won't be anytime soon.
Any threat of her going into the job market?
She may. The only job she would consider is working on a cruise ship as a storyteller. So if anybody wants to hire her, that's what she'd like to do.
Okay. What's next week?
Okay, we have 3 choices. The first one, a trash to treasure story. How this woman built a multi-million-dollar empire on the stuff you threw out. Or if you've got even a little bit of cowboy in you, you're going to want to see how the McDaniels make saddles, and have been for 4 generations. Or finally, an American Dream Extreme. How this man went from migrant farm worker to neurosurgeon. So those are your choices. To vote for the one you want to see or suggest your own story, go to cbsnews.com and click on Assignment America. The story with the most votes plays right here next Friday night.
Tonight's Assignment America segment is sponsored by ExxonMobil, taking on the world's toughest energy challenges.
And that's the CBS Evening News. I'm Harry Smith in New York. Katie will be back on Monday. I'll see you next week on The Early Show. Have a good weekend and a happy Mother's Day. Good night.